Hey guys, so this is gonna be a simple vloggy type video, no over the top editing or anything. Just gonna be showing off my game consoles today. I'm in the process since making that original Xbox collection video of showing off the rest of the collection, and didn't want to put it all in one video and make it super long because audience retention and I think it's better to divide it up because then you can spend more time on each section and give them the time they deserve versus blowing through them just in my rambly style. That's what works for me. Anyway, today we're just going to be going through all my game consoles I own, not the handheld, just the consoles themselves. Obviously some will have more to be said about than others. So, let's just get into it. Starting off, we're going to be going clockwise. The Ouya. Fucking Ouya. What a fucking, it fucking taunts me. I should have bought this. I bought this when they were shutting down the servers. I made a big mistake. I paid $50 for it because I didn't want to wait for the auction. My idea was I would get it, I would download all the games, and I'd have all these cool, exclusive, wheeled, small games I can make videos about into the future. That didn't work. I waited till the last day to download the games. They shut it down early. They didn't wait for the time limit. I took into account East Coast time. They fucking shut the servers down extra early. And come to find out, I think it automatically logs you out after like a week or two, and then you're just fucked either way. So, big waste of money. Fuck the Ouya. Next up, Game Wave. I bet you haven't heard of this console. It's a 2000s console, and you haven't heard about it for good reason. It sucks. The Game Wave is like, hey, a family entertainment system, my ass. It's like this trivia game, and the games look like DVDs. You might actually stumble upon them one day at a thrift store. I regret buying the Game Wave. It was during a period where, like, I had my grandma pay for it. I was, like, wanting to go shopping a lot. I was wasting all money. Game collecting, there's an addiction side to it that I think we all go through at a time, and fortunately, I went through that at a time, and I have a lot of regrets in that you might hear about in a future video. Anyway, yeah, the Game Wave, weird, forgotten console, just a trivia machine, not really worth your time. Alright, now retro computers. We got two Atari 800s here. They came in a bundle. It's a bunch of stuff. I paid like $200. I never really used the Atari computers. They're nice to have, but I mean, I was new to retro collecting, and like, they were in my area, they were local. I shouldn't have probably bought them, but I got them anyway. When I bought them along with something else I'm about to show, the people were like, yeah, we're just going to recycle them anyway. In the back of my mind, I'm like, well, if you're just going to recycle them, then you should have given them away for free, but whatever. I got a Shield Atari 800, but I gave it to a guy in the area who was like European and setting up some kind of game collecting, like retro computer community crowd thing. So that was cool. I gave it to him. I think he was giving it to his friend or something. Well, I sold it to him for a reasonable price. Next up, going down the line, television. I got that recently. Television's cool. My favorite game on it is Snafu. Television, like the next console, the ColecoVision. I still need to get into them. I got them for a decent price, so I go through periods of having money and not having money. And, yeah, television is cool. Same ColecoVision. I want this game called Oil's Well. It's like $50 to $100. Comes up rarely on eBay, but eventually I'll get it. I learned about it from James and Mike. Another Atari computer, the Atari 130XE. I think this is more powerful than the 800. So, and it's smaller and easier to use. Nothing, again, don't play it too often. It's been kind of buried in the closet. And guys, I know the consoles might be in a weird, like, on the sides and stuff, right? They're usually, protected and laid out better. Let's just let this video make them all fit. PlayStation 1. PlayStation 1 is cool. Haven't played it too much yet. I don't really play on the console itself because I have a backwards compatible PS3. It's cool to have, though. I got the memory codes taped to it. And I know there's like a bunch of variations of it, too, like the back connectors. There's like 20 variations, something crazy for the PlayStation 1. I mean, mostly for the PlayStation 1, I'm interested in a lot of, like, the weird, obscure games. The library's so big, and the PS1 library I want to get into. Continuing on, we have the Atari 7800. Not the strongest library. Library's okay on it. I got it for free, and there's benefits to 7800. It's nice to have in the collection. There's like that ninja golf game or whatever that looks interesting. Not a strong library though, but it was free, so I can't complain. Get the Atari Junior. It plays Atari 2600 games. I already have a 2600, so I didn't need it, but it was free. And into the future when I need to record Atari gameplay, this will certainly be more convenient since it's so small. Coleco Telstar. This was like $10 in my area, so definitely a good deal. Something I had to pick up. It's Pong. There's not much more to say about it. Though I do like the look of it. It's pretty cool. I tried it once. It works. Pong is a two-person game, and I rarely have anybody to play games with now. And convincing any of my, friends who are not old or strange like me to actually sit down and play Pong, not gonna work. Alright, next up, Texas Instruments home computer. I worked at Value Village. I was able to, take advantage of time and, pricing and placing items. So I got this for like $10 also. And it's a steel one too, which is cool. Don't need any games for it, but again, it was a good deal I created for myself, so I had to get it. It's cool though. It's actually like a convention for this console and like homebrews and stuff. There's an interesting community around it. Eventually, I'd love to, check out the library a bit and get more into it. But I have it. It's in like new condition. It's got all the stuff in it. Box is beat up, but again, the console inside is in great condition. So I have no doubt that it works. Continuing on, I'm like out of breath and sweating from these fucking lights on me and the time it took to set this whole video up. I had to dig through the closet. Next up, the mighty Atari 2600. Now, from like aesthetic look standpoint, I do prefer the 6-switcher, but this is still cool. I love the unique look of it, the classic, the ridges, the wood grain. Atari 2600 is cool. There's a lot of cool homebrews for it. It's a classic, and I really enjoy Super Breakout and brick breaking games, and in my opinion, they work best with a paddle controller. Yeah, the Atari 2600, it's cool. It's definitely I understand people who can't play the games now because they're too primitive. I totally get that, and a lot of the games are confusing and don't hold up. But Atari 2600, there's a place for it, definitely. And also, I love the, I don't know if it's the sound chip it uses or what, but the sounds it makes, the explosion noise and stuff, very unique. Next up, the mighty Gamecube. The small lunchbox with a lot to give. I like the Gamecube. It's cool. Childhood console of mine. I played a Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2 a lot with my sister on it. A lot. That game was fun. I enjoyed it. And I know some people prefer the PS2 version of that game, but I'm used to the Gamecube one. Gamecube is a library I'm starting to dive into. I got Animal Crossing recently. Gamecube is cool. The only issue is all the Nintendo games that you want are pricey. So I've been slowly getting into the Gamecube. I need to get back into it. I need to get back to Animal Crossing. You know how it is. You start playing a game and you set it down and you never get back to it. Next up, the rad Sega Genesis. And I gotta say, I think the Model 2 is the most iconic looking one. I always loved the look of the Model 1, honestly. I just can't explain exactly what I love about it. I also love it's got a headphone jack on the front. It just looks old and cool. Again, I can't explain exactly what about it I love the look of it so much for, but I just love the look of it. Sega Genesis, a library I definitely need to get into more. It's just, we need to grow the library of every console we own. So you gotta choose your battles, but Sonic games, I own Sonic 2 on it, and I think that's about it. Again, I don't own a lot of games on this. I know, shame, but I want Gruxton on it, and there's a bunch of other classic games I need to get. I know, shame. I need to get more games for the Genesis, and I will one day. Also, another thing is Genesis, collecting-wise, is I really want to get the, I don't care about, getting NES games in the box, but I want to get the Genesis games in a plastic clamshell, but that's more expensive. I don't like the look of Genesis games on the shelf, loose as much, so collecting is more expensive than just getting the games as cheap as possible to play them. But hey, we're collectors. Next up, we got the Super Nintendo. Iconic look. I love the look of the Super Nintendo. Super Nintendo, it represents like the last time Nintendo was truly like, top of the game, like premier console maker. Like they're still a competitor, but I feel like this was the last time they were like the king of the ring. Because like after this, PS1 came out next generation and kind of downhill for Nintendo, and they've always been kind of like a weird outside competitor. Although I guess they did win with the Wii, but whatever. Super Nintendo's cool. A lot of iconic games. It really is the perfect sequel to the NES. Like, so many of the iconic series carried over. Some of the iconic series had, like, their games on here were even better than the NES ones. No, like, not really many series that, like, were bad on the Super Nintendo that were from the NES. Like, it really is the perfect, like, sequel console. Next up, the Nintendo Entertainment System. I know the lighting's not perfect here, but, I think the NES is great. The NES is so iconic. Its look is so iconic. I love the look of it. To me, the NES is like the quintessential 1980s like console. It just fits that time period so much. It represented a time when Nintendo was just at their best. Like innovation. Like they had the market share control of the console industry to a fucking insane degree. And I mean, the thing about the NES too is just so many iconic game series that are still around. So many legendary IPs started on this console. It really, like, became popular. I know, like, there's, like, the Mario Bros. Arcade game that might have come out before. And, Sega had... I don't want to talk about Sega, no. I know Nintendo, they had their... It's like a Pong machine or a trade machine or something. And, I know Donkey Kong was arcade, but, like... So many iconic series really got to start on the NES, if we're being honest. I mean, Metroid, Castlevania, the list goes on. Like, the NES it's the staple of the 80s. It's a staple of so many childhoods. It's the premier game collecting console. Now, that may be changing in recent times, but for so long, the NES has represented game collecting. It's represented nostalgia, the 80s. Just a legendary game console. It's hard to complain about the NES. I mean, don't get me wrong, the cartridges not working all the time and stuff is annoying, but overall, you gotta love the NES. And I mean, blowing into the cartridge is such an 80s, like, old thing to do. So, much love to the NES. Next up, as we go down the list, you can see, PlayStation 4. I prefer playing on Xbox One. I prefer the UI and the control and everything, but the PlayStation 4 has so many exclusive games this generation that have been great. I mean, so many like the Game of the Years, like God of War, Spider-Man, Horizon Zero Dawn, like, just so many iconic games. Last of Us 2, the PlayStation 4 is the place to play, and like Sony has dominated this generation, rightfully so. They've hit it out of the park with exclusive games. I mean, Until Dawn I still need to play. Still need to play Detroit Become Human. Like, I haven't even gotten through all the exclusives on PS4 yet. I turn it on only to play Sony exclusives, but when I do, it's always a good time. The Xbox 360, what can you say about it? The 360 is it's great. The 360 is like... aside from the Red Ring of Death, which was really bad, it somehow persevered through that, which just shows how great it was. Now, I know that the PS3 technically outsold the 360 at the end of the generation, but there's no denying 360, it held its relevance during that generation. It was the console everyone talked about. The 360, it revolutionized digital games. It really helped the indie scene with the Xbox Live Arcade. The way it handled Xbox Live really brought online gaming into the mainstream. And I mean, it had great games, Gears of War, obviously the Halo games, not counting Halo 4. The 360 is great. Its blemish is obviously the Red Ring of Death, but there's so many great things about the 360. I just love the look of it too. Also, like the hard drives that you can pop in and out on top. I mean, so many of like that generation was defined by the 360. Like the Call of Duty games people love the most. Like people will sit there with their 360 controller, the headset, just playing on this console. And I'm glad it's still online, but it's a bit sad to go back to the online now. It's not what it was, obviously. Things have moved on. And I mean, it's the console that introduced achievements as well. I'm not an achievement guy, really, but achievements were big. Sony copied the trophy system because they were unprepared for that. They were unprepared for achievements, just like they're unprepared for the online store that the 360 had. This is why theirs was in a browser. Microsoft just hit it out of the park with this, with everything but the Red Ring, obviously. The Xbox Original. Now, I already made a whole collection video on this, and I've made videos on the Xbox Original before. You guys obviously know I'm a big Xbox Original fan. I really like the console. Microsoft has so many exclusive games out on it. Obviously, the Halo games. I love Halo Combat Evolved, Halo 2. It's so many great, I love Burnout Free Takedown. There's this golfing game called Lynx I love on it. This console occupies a lot of my top 10 games. The console itself, I love the look of it. I really do. The only issue is the pain in the ass to get dust out of. The console really is the last bastion of that 90s hardcore edge, totally radical man. It definitely went for that, kind of feel to it. And I'm not going to talk about it too long. I've already made multiple videos on the console. Childhood console of mine, I love it. Xbox One, I've got the One S here. A lot of people shit on the Xbox One, all those annoying console rules in the comment section of Facebook posts, but I like the Xbox One. Again, I prefer the Xbox One's UI, I prefer its controllers. The only thing it's lacking is exclusive games. But I'm not one of those people that tell you exclusives don't matter. That is a big issue. Buying the PS4 made more sense this generation, I won't deny it, but I still love the Xbox One. Sega Dreamcast. This console is cool as well. A lot of great homebrews for it recently. You go on sites like Etsy and stuff, those websites. There's a lot of homebrews and hacks and stuff for this console. You can get Super Mario 64 on the console. I don't know how it plays, but it sounds fascinating to me. And I mean, the Dreamcast was Sega's last, console. The hurrah into the sunlight. Or sunset, if you will. Dreamcast is cool. It's almost like some people consider it the last retro console, and it kind of is. It bridges that gap. It has all that 90s spunk and feel to it. It had a lot of great games, and it represented the first time arcade games were as good on the console as they were on the arcade. The death of an era, if you will, and the death of Sega. But yeah, the Dreamcast is cool. Another console I need to get more games for, definitely. Finally, we have the PS3. I didn't grow up with a PS3. I was a 360 kid. But I used to see the trailers on TV, and the PS3 is great in the end of the day. They toned it around, Sony. The console was a pain in the ass to develop for, which limited it, but, I mean, The Last of Us 1 on the PS3, probably the best looking game of that generation. I treat it like the PS4, where I get the exclusives that it have, and there's a lot. I've talked about I like brick breaking games. I think it's an underrated genre. PS3 has a lot of brick breaking games on its digital store I still need to buy. But what I like about it too is I have the model that can play PS2 and PS1 games, which means that if I need to record a game through HDMI through the capture card, it's going to be a lot easier. So that's why I really like having this model, honestly. Plus, in my opinion, best looking PS3 model. Although I used to own the slim version as well, but I had to sell it. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I apologize for the breathing and all that. Like I explained, with these lights going and I had to turn the fan off, it's very hot in here. So it's causing me to breathe a lot and stuff. This video might not be, as polished as I wanted it to be, but I feel like it's just a nice, pleasant vlog, hopefully. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time.